Hello pilots, this is just a follow-up video to my last one about the LSX5 by GEPRC. I showed you a quick unboxing and a quick look at it. Well, I'll put it all together now and we'll take it to the bench because there's a couple of things you might want to know, especially if you're going to be using the RUNCAM split like I did. You may run into certain problems, but also this is the first quad I've flown which has the battery mounted underneath, and if like me you're used to the top mounting batteries, your weight, your balance when flying will be slightly different because of I reckon Joshua Bardwell or Bruce Simpson could explain it better. Something to do with weight ratio, because of the way your battery is pulling you when you're turning, but it feels slightly different. I'll give it a quick test flight, you'll see at the end of the video, and if she flies fine, it'll take me though at least, I reckon, I'll be conservative, about 5 to 10 flights before I'm very comfortable with her, because she's a lot heavier than the 210, the QAV 210 I've been flying. She's a lot heavier. She's even heavier than a QAV 250. But I'll show you on the bench, tell you a couple of little bits of information. Like I said, especially if you're using the RUNCAM split and you're planning on buying one of these frames, definitely watch the rest of this video. Okay then guys, let's get it to the bench and have a close up and tell you about the problem with the RUNCAM split. Cheers. Right then pilots, the first thing I'll tell you, or you'll spot straight away, is I've put an extra plate on top of here. Mounted it on a couple of screws on either side. Right, simply underneath I've got my VTX connected to this plate I've put on because there's nowhere else to put it. Now I mentioned the RUNCAM split, so I'll talk about that straight away. The first thing I did with this was put it together as you normally would. I put my power distribution board on, my PDB, put my flight control board on, I mounted the RUNCAM split, tried to figure out where to put the VTX, and then I had the receiver to go in, and there was just no way this base was going to fit. It was just too much, it just will not fit with all that on. So what I had to do was go out and buy the 2-in-1 flight control and PDB. I got the Omnibus F4, which is a brilliant flight control board, and like I say, it was built in PDB to take up some room. So if I zoom in a bit there, hopefully that focuses in. Now I know it looks like there's a big gap there so you can get more stuff in, but I can't. At the bottom I've got the Omnibus 4 flight control board / PDB, as I said. Now just above that there's a big gap, but I've actually put my flight control, I've actually put my receiver in between. I've stripped my receiver down. I've shown you how to do that in a previous video. I'll leave a link just in case you want to. You have to remove the pins to make it smaller, but anyway. So that's why it appears to be a gap here, but actually the receiver is in there, and on top is the RUNCAM split. Now I couldn't mount anything else on top of the RUNCAM split because, well, there was just no room because of the way the roll bar goes downwards. So that's why I put that extra plate on top, and I don't know if you'll see, hopefully you'll see, but underneath that extra plate I've put on, that's where my VTX is. I'm running the Unified Pro, so it's a very small VTX, and that's it basically. Now if you're running a GoPro like a lot of you do, I don't, can't afford one to be honest, But mounting your GoPro on top, and you'll have plenty of room in there. You'll just put your PDB, your flight control board, your VTX, and mount your GoPro on top, that's fine. But with the extra board, because of the RUNCAM split, there's just no room. You will have to, unless you can figure something out, which I tried for, well, not hours, but I tried for a long time. There's just not enough room to have a separate flight control board and PDB and your RUNCAM split with your other bits and pieces as well. There's just not enough room. So I recommend getting a 2-in-1, and I highly recommend the Omnibus FF for Foxtrot 4. It's a really good flight control board. Runs off Betaflight. If you've never used Betaflight, there's loads of videos out there. It's not difficult to set up, but it can get complicated if you're going into all your different rates and your PIDs and your settings and stuff like that. But it actually comes flashed with Betaflight on it, so all you really need to do is go into Betaflight and set up your modes, and you're off. Okay, updating your firmware and stuff like that, but you don't have to do that straight off if you want to get it in the air and give it a test flight. But that's it basically. Just a warning, like I say, if you've got a RUNCAM split and you're planning on putting it in this frame, you must have a 2-in-1 PDB flight control board. There is no way you're going to get everything else in there. I suppose you could mount your receiver up here and your VTX up here, but the whole idea of the roll bar is to protect everything. Now there's one more thing. If I take this lens cap off the split, I have mounted my split camera, I don't know if you'll see, just slightly behind this roll bar. I don't know, try that. So as you can see there, if anything hits the front, like if I hit the tree or the ground hard or out like that, which I will do sooner or later, it's not going to touch the camera. Obviously a branch should go in, but anything hard and solid is not going to touch the camera. You can mount it further forward. It is possible to mount your camera further forward, but I wanted it protected. Now there is a downside to that, which you'll see in the flight video at the end of this, the Maiden flight video. As you're watching your video, there's like, for want of it, you're actually seeing just the edge of this bar and just the edge of this bar on the left and the right of the video screen. But to me it's a compromise. I've got my camera protected, so I don't care if there's just two small little amounts. You might not be happy with it. You're able to tell from the video, so you can mount your camera further forward if you think, oh, I'm not having that. Also, the angle I've got the camera on, you can just see the prop spinning slightly. Now I've done that deliberately. I had the camera slightly more up for when I was, well, pushing it. But just for freestyle, I'm quite happy with where the camera is. You just see the edge of the prop spinning. And I've noticed it on other videos, and me personally, I think it looks quite cool when you see the prop spinning. But you can just adjust the camera, quite simple. Little screw there, one at the other side. Just loosen them, tilt your camera to wherever you want. But that's a choice you want to make. Now receivers, I'll just zoom out a little bit again now. As for your receiver, the antennas, someone will leave a comment saying, oh, I've got mine that way. You could have your antennas mounted up here, but to me it's taking away the point of having the roll bar, because if it rolls it's going to crush your antennas. I know you've got your VTX transmitter antenna, your VTX antenna sticking out, which could get damaged if it rolls, but that's sum up on all quads. But if you run a couple of cable ties off your arms and put your antennas running down, you won't have any problems, because if you crash you're going to kill your motors anyway, so the blades aren't going to spin. Even if the antenna comes up, the chances of that happening are pretty damn slim. But it could happen, and that's why I put my antennas in surrounded by white heat shrink. So one, it gives a little bit of protection. The antenna is running underneath the cable tie. It gives a little bit of protection, plus also if I have a crash I can see at a glance if this has got damage because it's white, whereas if I've got red, black, whatever, it's harder to tell. But that's it basically, guys. Like I said, the main information was the RUNCAM Split. You must get a 2-in-1 flight control PDB if you want to mount it in here. Also, as I just glanced on, just slightly mentioned in the beginning, the weight, it's a lot heavier, it's a lot stronger. This thing is solid. I'd be shocked if you break an arm on this. But the weight ratio, because the battery's at the bottom, if you're like me and you're used to flying with the battery at the top, it'll take a few flights to get used to it, because as you're turning, the weight is pulling you on a different axis. But that's gravity. But like I say, Joshua Bardwell or Bruce Simpson, and I know there's plenty of others out there, but they just spring to mind. I'll probably be able to explain that easier in a more advanced way. Plus also one last thing, because it's a bottom bouncing, because it's a bottom mounted battery, right, for new pilots this bit is, I would advise when you're plugging your battery in and taking your battery out, do it while it's on the ground, as in if you land, just flip it over on the grass, then unplug your battery. Don't hold it to your chest and pull your battery strap in and out. It's not the best idea in case you have some sort of feedback short or anything and the motor starts spinning while the thing's in your next to your chest or near your face or out like that. Just when it's landed, just get a wooden spoon or a stick, or just kick it with your foot. Just flip it over, then unplug your battery. You don't have to, it's just a little safety tip if you're interested. Okay then, let's go for show you the Maiden. Not go for it, I've already done it. I did it yesterday. So let's show you the Maiden and see what you think. It's only short. It was I did 3 flights and I've just jumbled them up together a bit, just make it a bit more interesting. But thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting. Like I say, from GEPRC, and it's the LSX5, which is for the 5-inch props. You get the LSX4 for the 4-inch, and you get for a 6-inch. But I'm very happy with it. It's a great quad. I love the roll bar. I love the way the camera is 100% protected. Well, 90%. There's always the chance of the stick going in that way. Thanks for watching, and let's get to the field in 3, 2, 1.